Welcome, everyone, to Enlightened Masculinity Podcast. I'm your host, Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, captain of IMC Nation, streaming to you here from IMC Base 1 Stoic Temple in Campbell, California. This episode, I'll be talking about the origins of the beast process, and some of the realizations, some of the things that have come up in the group calls and the group meetings. You know, IMC as a movement is an organization that's worldwide, that people are representing their cities and their countries, and in many cases they've grouped together into what are known as bases. And we have 5 bases right now. I'm from base 1, as I said, and there's more bases coming. The vision is many bases, 300 bases, 1,500 bases. It's limitless, really. I mean, population of Earth or whatever. But why is that so impactful? Because we see it month after month. Dozens of guys come to San Jose, which is not an easy place to come to. It's like on the edge of the United States. It's not a super popular place to fly into. It's expensive to come here and stay here. And it's just like really inconvenient for a lot of people to come to San Jose. But this is where it's at. This is where AZD's at. He's the founder of IMC Nation. I live with him. He has a process of living that has been refined over time. And yeah, there's lots of people that you could study. Like there was somebody I was talking to earlier. He's on AZD's program. It's been on for like a year. He's this hip-hop artist from New Orleans. And I was asking him about Stoicism. Like, have you been reading Stoicism? He's like, I am a Stoic, this and that. He wasn't trying to be arrogant. He was just not getting the profoundness of what I'm telling him. Like, you got to read Stoicism. It's one ingredient, huge ingredient, but there are many huge ingredients. So it's like, I almost wanted to call it a small ingredient, but it's a huge ingredient to read Stoicism and understand Stoicism, integrate it, comprehend it, go slow, read for inspiration, and then put the book down and digest it, assimilate it. And that's going to take some time to get through these Stoic books. They're not particularly hard or difficult to read. It's just they're dense with ideas and philosophies. Then, I mean, there's levels of it. I mean, a 6th grader could read them, a 12th grader, a college graduate, a beast could read Stoicism, and you would get something more out of it as far as like, why are you researching IMC and AZD's process? There's a quality of communication, a quality of life, a lifestyle with relationships, with your community, and an integrated lifestyle, integrating all these elements of spirituality, of relationships and mating, of surviving, business, money, and pulling them all together so you're very congruent throughout your day, throughout your life, meanwhile manifesting what you want. So you don't just become all about your business, but you don't get any girls. You don't become all about your girls and never explore spirituality. You don't become all about spirituality and fuck all with money and girls. This is a very integrated, and we have AZD as a living example, and the guys that live with him and the guys that train with him regularly are coming up in their ability to live this life like that, manifesting it in their own way, translating it and bringing it about in their own life, in that makes sense to them. And as they become higher and higher level, they inspire the people around them. But, there's a lag effect where the lifestyle manifests a little bit behind in time, behind your mindset shifting. And so the guys that are around, and they keep coming around, their mindset keeps upgrading, and they become more and more free of the opinions of the people around them, more and more free to take ownership of their decisions. But you are sitting right now, or standing, or wherever you are in a position in your life that is the result of many decisions that you've made, many decisions. Just because you change a few doesn't mean your whole life is going to change right now. It's accumulated all these decisions. And then on top of that, there's infinitely more decisions around you that you have no control over. The whole environment, who is in your environment, who's interacting with you, and what are their issues that they're bringing to the table? And through life, you're interacting with so many variables that had nothing to do with you. You're just coming face to face with it. And how you respond to it, well, there's your character. So how are we going to change our response to life to get a different response to our response? We create a different effect from the environment, from people in it, and even just within ourselves. If we perceive something differently, we'll feel differently about it. Different hormones released, different stress or calmness about it. and it could accumulate into a mood, an attitude, all just from a little decision to speak or not speak, or to choose that word or choose to not say that word. Later, we're thinking about it like, I should have said that. And then it's like you're distracted and you're not paying attention to something else that might be happening. That's like karma, So upgrading your character to respond differently, we've discovered, the people that follow AZD have discovered that there's a science to this. AZD already knew it was science. That's why you could sell with such confidence. That's why I sell with such confidence. I was trained as a scientist, master's degree, PhD, and translated that real practically into yoga business, because it's just cause and effect and measuring results and tweaking the variables until you get you optimize the equation for the most output, most happiness in life or whatever. That's what I did. And I carved a niche for myself in my travel yoga business that had never been formed on earth before. 30-something-year-old PhD, whatever, nobody knows about him in yoga, been practicing just a handful of years, apparently pretty good. And he's going to, like, this just the way I did it, never been done. And I was already studying AZD. And so as I was zooming in on AZD, I've said this before, it just made more and more sense. It wasn't like, there wasn't some secret. There are plenty of secrets because you hold back, you withhold certain information from people because they're not ready for it. It was like you could train a monkey a rear naked choke. You could probably train a monkey how to do a rear naked choke, but could you train him to let it go if someone taps? You know what I mean? You can't just give technology to people. They may not be smart enough, ethical enough to use it right. So yeah, there are secrets, but it's not a secret that like ultimately you can't know about. Like I say it. I say it because I'm one of the closest to AZD that would say anything. Anybody closer to AZD isn't really a student, but more like colleagues around his age, maybe, or some different people he's known for 20, 30 years. Like, they don't know about all the IMC tech. They just see the results. They see his character upgrading day after day, year after year, beautiful women around him, the tribe growing. He seems to be happier and happier, but handling life, and they want to stay connected because his value keeps rising. His value being how he can influence and control the environment. And that's what we all study. That's what we all have as we study this stuff. And the effect initially is felt internally. When you handle your environment better, you'll feel better about yourself. When you handle your life better, you feel better about yourself. But on the outside, they may not notice it as much because it's not like so many stark changes have happened. It's not like such a sharp contrast. Like all of a sudden your life shifts overnight. It's like, what did you do, Real Fam Jake? What'd you do, Daniel Gennaro? What'd you do, Yogi Chris? Like that your life changed so much. It's piece by piece. That's where somebody, you'll meet them after you've studied IMC for a year, 2 years, 5 years. You meet them later, and now your life looks so different. They're still doing the same shit, barely changed, same haircut, same clothes, smell the same. You're totally different. And that just continues to accumulate into a different life. But no longer the life that you just inherited, where one day you woke up to your life and you were like, oh, fuck, what am I doing? And it's like you inherited basically this thing. Like somebody, your parent dies and leaves you like your whatever they have. It's like you inherited it. You die to your old self and wake up to your new self, realizing that you've inherited the old self. You've inherited all this stuff, all these behaviors and habits and clothing and fashion and ideas, perceptions, beliefs, all these relationships and connections to people, all these contracts you have with your rent and your job and blah, 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 blah. You inherit it when you wake up to your shit. And then you're like, now what? So it's a interesting process, taking ownership of shit, because you got to cut some ties, you got to change some ties. There's a bunch of drama and frustration in it and not knowing how to do it. And then you learn how to do it and then you do it. It takes time. But like over time, you transfer ownership basically of your life back into your own hands. And socially and personality wise, character wise, that's really where it boils down to. Your character, you take ownership of your character, because we're not necessarily going the route of becoming politically a sovereign and whatever they do to reclaim ownership of your name and not become a dead corpse or whatever the fuck the birth certificate represents. All that esoteric government shit where people become political sovereigns and they're not owned by their country anymore or whatever. That's really cool. And if there was a smooth, easy way for me to do that, I'd probably do it too. if, but I'm not so into that because, man, I'm not going to dedicate my life to freeing myself from that governmental system. That's not the route that I see. That's not the route that I see as an example or that I see in front of me, like the route to go. But freeing my character from my upbringing, ancestral karma, from all of my experiences that I was just an effect of. I'm like, oh man, the Instagram is pausing due to poor connection. Instagram people, I don't know what to tell you. Like, the guys can come to the Zoom. So guys, if you get cut off, that's what it is. Girls, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe I'll send you the recording. No, you like watching these. You're still on. Okay. So character and let me put out this insight. We have found that these results in life come from a character that are like this compilation of your beliefs, how you see yourself, and that's just the character that people know. You can't avoid having a character. You step out of the house and there's a character. And it might be a bland character. You might just kind of fit in or blend in, or who knows what kind of you might be the asshole, you might be the cool guy, you might be the funny guy. Like, and it's not just that. That's very simplified, but you have these qualities about you that you go out and people respond to you a certain way. Your people, the people you know, new people that you meet, and you're continually manifesting your life through this character that you're portraying yourself through, that your light is shining through whatever your character, or not. The character might be dimming the light that's coming through, but whatever light's coming through is filtered through your character. And it's the character here that gets the girl. It's the character here that does the business. It's the character here that you give to the world. And that's your exchange with the world. And the Origins text. So the Origins is the level 1 advanced camp that everybody must graduate before they do the advanced camp for IMC. There's a beginner program called Midday Gospel. There's the first level camp called Origins. And then there's the second level camp, which changes each month. It's called Animus this month. And these are the most advanced teachings that AZD gives. And then month after month, you accumulate the knowledge and experience and the techniques, and you apply them into your life. And what happened about 3 years ago, AZD is going through like a couple of dramas, a couple different girls, breakup, whatever, and situations, heavy situations that for prolonged, they lasted for a while. And so dealing with his own personal shit. Meanwhile, he's living with other girlfriends. So it's like you can't be too dramatic around other girls. You can't be all emotional about around your girls. They'll lose attraction for you. It'll create more drama for you. Snowballs. It's real. You're going real fast, like in a fucking jet airplane when you have multiple relationships. And any little mistake, it's amplified a whole bunch because it kind of ripples through all your relationships. So you got to be a real sound character to hold it down. But when super heavy drama hits, then, I mean, that's easier said than done. So he's going through his process, or he's going through those experiences and pulling from the resources he had around him and his experience. He pulled together, it made his process even tighter. And meanwhile, the whole following of, at the time, it was Love Spell, the people doing Love Spell, the Tabiat Messenger programs and some of the boot camps. I was that guy. I had just begun being that guy that was pulling everybody into these events. And so he formulated everything into this beast process and imagined, developed this character of the beast that is common amongst men. People talk about that guy as a beast or not, but he codified his version of it that was still attractive, seductive, all those things that the guys noticed, and the girls, of course, noticed, but the guys noticed that he has this ability and the beingness in the environment that is admirable. I applaud you. I want that. That freedom of expression and that animation and the results you get, like, you seem to know what to say. And how is that? And so as you, like I say, zoom in, it makes more and more sense. Divulges the teachings. It makes more and more sense. Decomposes the mind, gives you the references. I have all these books that I read, and, it makes it make sense, but it's just totally different than how you were raised. It would be like if aliens came here and they had some physics. If aliens came here and they had some physics for their anti-gravity aircraft and their laser pulse weapons and their dematerializing weapons and their food replication weapons, food replicators that just manifest like food. And, they're healing pods and they're consciousness transfer devices that moves you from one body to another, like all that shit. That's got to be physics. It's energy. It's like, how do you think their physics would be F equals ma, or E equals mc squared? Do you think they have equations like that? Maybe in their own symbols, but you think they have the same? I'll bet they have different. I'm not going to lie. I'll bet they have totally different equations for the relationships between physical bodies and whatever. Who knows how they even think about it? Just a totally different way of thinking about the universe that makes, like, I don't think we're just going to keep piling on new equations to come up with anti-gravity and time travel and food and molecule manipulation and all that stuff. Like, I'll bet we're going to have to redo some of our understandings of physics to kind of let go of that stuff to get to the next level of influence and ability in the physical universe. It may be piling on of new things, but that would be the route of like self-help and personal development that just keeps piling on new rules. It's like grammar rules. When they say this, you do that. But when they say this, you do that. But when they do that, then you do this. And it's like more and more rules. That's the self-help route, where it's just like, it's mental masturbation. It's just like pull in all these mental ideas. And that's what IMC gets its name, integrated mental concepts, because let go of all that doesn't serve the purpose that we're going for. And the man has been subdued and submitted on this planet by the feminine energy wielded by the elites and, the mass mind control. And so you free yourself from the mass mind control and you free yourself from your limiting ideas about women and relationships and men. And that's a whole education. I have a PhD, and I'm telling you, it's no less than a PhD's education to really get it. And you got to do it all on your own. And you're not being funded by some government agency to go get a PhD. You got to go and pay your way and get a PhD in the male-female code, in, all of these things, the science of the mind. I've given different book references, and I'd be happy to give even more book references on the Origins Camp. The Origins Camp is tonight at 7 p.m. And it's like 4 nights a week, 4 or 5 nights a week, up until the main event. And then the main event is a whole weekend that people will come here. And it's month after month. And after you do the Origins event, you can return to the Origins event, I believe, for a donation. So you can keep doing Origins. And meanwhile, eventually you become a graduate of the Origins program and you can do the advanced camp. But Origins is that original tech that will help you shape your character. So like I was saying, AZD was going through his shit 3 years ago. And meanwhile, there's this following and I'm running it. I'm pulling everybody along. It's just like AZD spearheading the movement. He's way out in front and I'm behind him, just like running down the same trail he's blazed. Meanwhile, there's 300 men behind me that they're all behind me, just running, and they're kind of getting a pecking order. Some of them are ahead, some of them are behind, but they're running and we're all close together. But AZD's way out in front, but I'm leading the second pack. It would be like if you ever saw Steve Prefontaine, the marathon runner, American, and he would be way out in front. And then there'd be the second pack, which was like second place through 300. Because everybody else was in one big pack, and then Steve Prefontaine way out in front. And that, after a few months, manifested into the first original base 1. And so the details of the process could be transferred to us at a much more refined way. So many of the details in between the details, the nuances, and the patterns and the beingness, the schedule, the character responses throughout the day, so much more than just for that 1 or 2 hours of Lion's Den was the name of the lecture at the time. So people on Lion's Den got a certain amount, and then the guys that lived with them got a lot. Just, it's not that we were lectured to, it's that we were interacting with. And at the time, the advanced camps didn't do evening classes. There weren't, daily advanced classes. It was just the 3-day immersion. Every now and then he'd do a free evening class, but it was just come for the 3 days at the end of the month. It was like 8 or 9 months later that he started doing daily evening classes. So it was twice a day lectures, morning beginning class, evening advanced class. But then those guys, they get what they get from the advanced lecture. But then, like so many of the behind the scenes I record for the advanced camp is, right after the evening lecture, we have some time to talk, and there's an opportunity to record something. So I get that to you guys. So the advanced camp guys get more and more of the beingness and how we are around each other. Because like I was telling Sultan, one of my housemates earlier, like he's getting more and more responsibility with leading IMC because I'm handing things over to him. He's kind of fulfilling my role at some level, and when you take on more responsibility and you're leading more people and people are listening to you, what you say matters more because people are listening to you. So if you mistakenly say something or you miscommunicate or you exaggerate when someone was taking you literally, it's not just that they'll get like butthurt or something. It's that there may be business ideas that you're communicating. If you're not, you got to take responsibility for how you communicate when people start listening to you. People communicate sloppily when no one's listening to them. No one's ever listened to them. So they're just all over the place with their words. But when you're on a loudspeaker on a stage with 10,000 people listening to you, well, shit, now what are you going to say? You don't know what's going to offend who. So it's not you just leap from 0 to 10,000. It's you climb the ladder of success where people start listening to you and the tribe starts following you. You start having more and more responsibility, leading. You build it up based on merit to a place where people are listening to you. That's kind of what it is with women too. When guys come to IMC, they're listening to women. Gradually, they start to take more and more control over that. And eventually, now they may lose some prospects because they can get prettier women if they listen to them, but they're not really getting those women. They're just kind of getting with them, but they're compromising themselves. They'll hate themselves. That woman will leave them. There's real value in the world. And women should date up. Men should date down. Not equal, down. She should look up to you. And it should be known. And that's why you also got to keep growing. Because if she's dating up, she's going to get better being with you. And pretty soon she's going to kind of match you and she's going to lose attraction for you. You got to stay ahead of her. And that's a great dynamic between a man and a woman. She pushes him to get better. She gets better by being with him. And it's not that she pushes him consciously and she's like his coach or cheerleader or whatever. It's that to stay ahead, he's fucking got to do it. And he's motivated by something way bigger than just staying ahead of her. It's his process of life that makes him better. And that's what this is. The AZD process, the Origins camp is this process. So everything you can to join, because that's where it starts. You start learning the details of this process in the Origins camp. In the Midday Gospel program or whatever the morning program ends up becoming, because it's been renamed like 4 times. And this podcast gets posted somewhere, so you see it whenever you see it. So whatever the morning program becomes, that's inspirational. There's definitely education in that. There's a lot of reality. Guys get to join a movement and hear the conversations between everybody. And it's like, dang, these fucking guys they don't have this kind of community around where you live. Whoever's on the Zoom stream right now or Instagram or whatever, you don't have a community of guys around you that you can talk about this stuff with, let alone girls to talk about this stuff with. Who are you talking about this stuff with? It's IMC guys. I'm not in that position. I live with guys that I'm not in that position. When I go visit my family in Texas, it's like, oh, I remember what it's like to be in someone else's world. And I got to totally segment my time. So I hang out with them for 90 minutes in the day. And the rest of the time I'm by myself doing all my Zoom meetings and interacting with IMC like I do. But it's like, I got to take a bubble with me. And it's not that I'm so fragile or whatever. It's that I will offend people with my freedom of expression. And I'll be constantly calibrating myself down in a way to not stretch them or whatever. And it's not just my family, it'd be out in the world or whatever. And you get calibrated in your community, that you get them used to you and you get to play this game. You can't just go from being a world champion boxer to going and just hanging out with a bunch of people that don't watch boxing. They won't get the profoundness of what you've achieved and your skill level. If they never box with you, they won't even know that you're like world class at anything. And you could tell them, they might see that you're fit or whatever, but until they see you fight someone that they fight them, you could fight them and you'll see how good they are. But when you fight someone that's better than you and beats you up, and then you see that person fight the world champion and he just mops the floor with them, then you'll get more reality on how good he is. If you get beat handily by someone and they get beat handily by someone, and then someone else handily beats them, and then the world champion handily beats that guy, then you start to build this ladder of how far in skill level you are away from the world champion. That's what the IMC Nation movement, you see all these guys in different ranks, in bases or whatever, you start to see that ladder that this is real. This is science, man. You got to tweak some variables of your character, the ideas you feed your mind, how you communicate, get some different results, start accumulating some of these results, and climb yourself out of, your inherited situation is my recommendation. That's what this is. So it begins with Origins. The Midday Gospel morning program is going to give you a breath of fresh air, a breath of expansion. You're in a men's group that's like no other. And then the Origins, you get the tech. And once you get the tech and you apply the tech, then you become eligible for the advanced training, because you don't want to teach a rear naked choke to a monkey. He's not going to understand how to let go when someone taps. And you don't want to teach advanced AZD tech to guys that don't have good character. They're going to fuck it up, and they're going to fuck someone else up, and they're going to fuck themselves up. So that's why you need the Origins tech, and you got to get it, like legit get it. Like you integrate it, you apply it in your life, and you start making those changes and get used to it, because it's simple, but it's easy once you get it. Just like a movement in jiu-jitsu or fighting or any skill. Once you get it, it's not that difficult. But to get it maybe is some frustrating motions, but you still do it because these results are too tested, too tried and true. You'd be turning your back on the truth if you didn't do it. And so I hope you're doing everything you can to join us and get these benefits. That's the end of Enlightened Masculinity podcast. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Hope you got something from it. Join the Telegram group. Leave a review if this is posted on any of the podcast apps. Follow the YouTube channel, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sign up for Midday Gospel. Sign up for Origins. Sign up for advanced training if that's available to you. Ask me